Welcome back, everyday business leaders. I'm Melanie Ake, the host for your show today, coming to you from JP the Geek Studio right here in Greenwood. We're thrilled to have you with us. We are connecting and celebrating remarkable business leaders from our very own community. They're redefining the way we think and grow. Remember, follow us on our channel and turn on your notifications so you'll never miss an episode. Today, we have another exciting segment in store for you from business innovation and inspirational leaders. Chip Helm is in the studio. We're celebrating 5 years since he's visited with us. Welcome, Chip.
Thank you, Melanie. It's a pleasure. And again, Melanie, let's just say, how come I'm getting older and you look better? So I don't get this.
Oh, I love you.
You can explain that somehow, but, you know, it is what it is.
We have a long history.
Probably too long.
History. I was saying when we first met, it has been over 20 years ago because we were in the same medical device company. And we met, we connected, we worked a lot of collaboration efforts together in two different kind of specialties in the company. And then you became an author. We celebrated that. You've joined me on my first year for the Everyday Leaders 50 and 50.
Yep.
We did some amazing stuff. We did audio podcast. We also joined with Carrie Curry from Curry Buick and did one of ours in the Kelley School of Business boardroom. That was amazing.
And by the way, Carrie told me to tell you hello.
Aww.
I just saw him the other day, said I'll be here on your podcast. He just has so many good things to say about you. It was really great to see him again and then almost connect you back to him. So it was great.
Well, you know, that's the thing, right? History leaders grow into who they're going to develop into. And you have done some incredible things. You have written 2 books on sales. And so I wanted to kind of celebrate you in that because writing a book is a real strenuous process. And I remember you said it took you 12 years to write your book.
Felt like 30, but yes.
But we had a book launch, and we really celebrated that process because you add value to so many universities and community programs for youth that are trying to understand how to sell in business. So tell me where you are now, what's going on in your life. Give us some updates from the last 5 years. You've got 3 kids that have graduated as doctors. That's really exciting.
Let's just start there. Let's start with my 3 kids because that's where the legacy is. You know, I mean, whatever I've done in my career and all the leadership courses and teaching and speaking and writing those couple books doesn't mean anything to me except for the way that my children have been raised and done what they've done. They're better people than they are whatever professions they're in. My oldest is an orthopedic surgeon resident at UT Houston. My daughter's a large breed veterinarian in Virginia. And last but not least, can't forget Sam, who just did a crown, by the way, in my mouth. It could use, by the way, anybody out there that needs dental work at the dental school, please. And he's in his 3rd year of dental school. So that means more to me than anything. That means we did something right. We did lead them correctly. So that was the most important thing to me.
Your family is amazing. And don't forget Cirilla. Like, she does amazing things.
She's
in
the
the
glue.
Bloomington. She is.
By the way, I still say this when people ask what happened. Well, they got their brains from Cirilla. That's what I say every time. I just shake my head. Yeah, all the brains came from her. And people said, I know. It couldn't have been you. So I get it. And I'll take that back seat, but yeah, you're right. If it wasn't for her and taking care of the family, as through my travels the last 38 years in the medical industry, I've been away from home a lot sometimes, and she's taking care of business, as you would say.
Mm-hmm. She's amazing. We need to get her on the show.
We do.
We can twist her arm, right?
She's a lot better than me.
Oh.
She'd be a lot better guest.
No, you guys, it's a team effort. And so I want to talk about the things that you really have gone to, you know, the things that you've learned in your life. I know you were at your story, and some people may not know this, so I'd like to just kind of touch on it again. You really started thinking out that you were going to be a dentist to follow your dad. So now with Sam following in those footsteps, how does that feel on your reflection point of like, wow, that was a point in your life too, where you were kind of striving to do things like that.
Yeah, you brought up a very interesting time in my life. Right now, the hair on my arms have been raised up, thinking that, I tried really hard to become a dentist. It just wasn't meant to be for me. I had some hand-eye issues, coordination issues with small hand-eye back then, and it was devastating to me. I'll always remember the day that I had to go back. I wrote a card to my parents. I sat down over the holidays, and my dad opened up the card, and he cried, I cried, and nothing more I wanted so badly in my life was to be a dentist and work with my father. So it just didn't work out. But I mean, things are meant to be as they are. And so now, fast forward up about how many years? My younger son, I know my father's upstairs trying to pull him into orthodontics. I think he'll be a great dentist, but he's a better person anyway. But yeah, it's great to see the evolution of how what happens in life, and for me to be able to say, hey, at least he's going to become an orthodontist and continue that dental profession in our family.
Mm-hmm. It's so great, that legacy, right? And I think that's the heart of a leader is, that sometimes you're in a different position, although you're really inspiring people to kind of see what their gifts are. And that's what you and Cirilla have really created with your family. So I really respect you for that. It's a big lesson. Wow. I know the medical device industry has been really tough, especially through COVID and over the last 10 years. And I was saying I've been gone from the company that we work together in as long as I work there. And it just doesn't seem like time has passed so fast. But things have changed. The regulations have changed. The competition has changed. How do you think kind of the industry itself is going to survive? What do you see kind of as a leader of the future? What do you think some of the leaders are doing that is spectacular that you've seen?
Well, first of all, the medical industry has changed a lot in the last 10 years or so. I mean, the pandemic didn't help. People working remotely and, figuring things out. And as like I was telling your husband, that, through the pandemic, you learn a lot of new tools and you have a new toolbox. And we all got better, at some things, speaking over the phone and writing emails and text messages and trying to learn those kind of skills because we weren't in front of people. I still believe face-to-face is the best. But going back directly to your question about leadership of how that's impacting the industry moving forward, I still believe in the empathy and the sympathy and part of the leadership quality. I believe that you've got to be, as I say, eat or be humble pie. Mm-hmm. You got to care more about other people than you care about yourself. I always said that if you treat customers well, they treat you well. It's all about the customer because the customer is the only one that's going to take care of you down the road. I mean, we were just talking earlier about businesses. What is a business? A business is a sales organization. I don't care what business you're in. You're in a sales organization business now. So is your husband. So is everyone. We've got to get back to understanding that every business that we do in life and anything we do is basically evolves and it revolves around a sales organization. Everything else branches off from that, how you lead it, how you teach people for developing them. But so I think that's the direction we got to continue to go for any kind of business, any kind of medical company. Let's just speak to medical companies. They're going to survive. Number one, they've got to make sure they admit their sales organization first. And then how do you lead that sales organization? Because you know what? If you don't sell a widget or you don't sell a concept or you don't sell yourself, what are you going to do? I mean, that's how we all survive, right? That's how we all become successful, right? Mm-hmm. Everyone has to sell something.
Right.
Something in their business to be successful. So
talk about innovation, because I know we've both been involved in the industry that has been very innovative.
Right.
We think of, I was in the GI section of medicine, you were in surgery, and those two components, I say a lot of times people that haven't had exposure to the medical device world, they don't realize that there are shared ideas between specialties and so much technology and development from these physicians that come through school and their residents, and they really decide like, hey, I learned something in one part of my life that then I can maybe design a new technology for another division. And I saw a lot of that happening working with some of the leaders and the key opinion leaders. What has changed, do you think? What's been the biggest aha moment of technology that you've maybe seen through COVID, that you've maybe witnessed that has been released, or a new technology that's available that we're learning about?
Well, okay, two ways to look at it. One, I don't believe technology is the same as it was 20, 30 years ago. And you're going to ask, well, why is that? Well, because back then you could bring out technology at a faster rate. You could decide you want to develop this product, and in 6 weeks or 10 weeks or 2 months, it was out there in the marketplace. The problem today is because of the FDA, because of that form of organization, things are held up now. It's so much more difficult to bring technology to the marketplace. So that's the problem right now. It's a shame because of patients. Let's just say, again, we're going to focus on the medical side of this. Patients need that technology, but it's been held up a lot right now, and I'm not sure what's going to change immediately unless people just decide, hey, we need this for patient care. So that's the biggest problem right now. With you have medical companies out there that cannot bring out fast enough anymore. I mean, they're lucky to bring out 5 new products a year, maybe, or less, because of it just become almost a political nightmare of trying to get things through the FDA and trying to get it into marketing. There's just so many more factors. There's so much more paperwork. It's a shame that technology hasn't surfaced as well as it could. And then the other thing was the technology that I still find kind of fascinating in the last 5 years is this robot technology. It's growing, but you're seeing this robot coming out. It's almost like having an artificial intelligence, and you'll see that becoming more and more prevalent, that will connect with a robot. But I think you'll see a robot will become more and more necessary or needed, or just it's growing tremendously in all these different various procedures.
Well, you even see it in the hospitals today, right? The drug delivery machines that are kind of moving from room to room, and they check out the medications based on your hospital bands. And so I think we've both had so much exposure in that space. It's so fun to, I think, look back and say, I wish I could live another 100 years to see where it's going, because, well, as regulations kind of stop the process, there's always these innovators that are creating ideas of what's going to happen and how we can save more lives. So I love being on the cutting edge of that. And it's been fun kind of talking a little bit of history for that, because you've had 38 years at your current company. And so that's a long time to kind of learn how to help people become better. I guess
I'm considered either an idiot or an icon. I don't think I'm an icon, so I'll say I'll go towards the idiot.
Oh, no. Hi, this is Melanie Ake. When you visit everydayleaders.com, you'll find valuable resources to become a better leader in your life. Women's leadership programs, including Top Floor Women, our monthly networking events, corporate workshops, and strategic business coaching services. Discover classes and products to develop yourself, including our morning leadership devotionals. Don't forget, order one of my inspirational books, sign up for classes, or pick up some gear in the Leader Store. Listen to the Everyday Business Leaders podcast, apply to be a guest in our studio, or even sponsor your own commercial advertisement. Contact us today at everydayleaders.com. Well, talk to me a little bit about, how you bring someone when they're beginning their career in sales, because this is what you're really gifted in. Talking about somebody that, hey, how do we connect to people that we're not comfortable with or confident with? They're going in and speaking and working with, because in your division, you really help people in procedures. So being equipped to learn the procedure itself, and then getting the confidence to speak to a physician that's had many, many years of training in research, and then they have to help them through procedures.
Right.
So what are the basics if somebody wanted to start a medical sales career? What should they be thinking about or looking into to learn how to become better for the interview, or to become a better salesperson?
Well, first of all, people think that sales is complicated. It's not rocket science. It's you talking to me and me talking to you and communicating together. But I said some of my pet peeves, some things I still see 38 years later, I still see that people don't get back to people. You want to be successful? Get there on time. I'll give you an example. If you have a 10 o'clock meeting, your boss calls, I'd get there at 9:30 and be ready to go. And it's not happening across the industry. The other thing is people aren't getting back to people. I mean, whether or not it's by text message or phone call or email, and they're waiting 24 hours or 48 hours or, a couple of days. I mean, I don't get this because you choose not to get back to someone. You have a choice. And you can do it immediately. I've been in plenty of meetings in my 38 years and never been that busy where I can get back to someone pretty quickly and pretty efficiently. And that probably is one of the worst things in the industry to this day of why people aren't successful, is because they don't really treat that as something that's really high priority. It's got to be like urgent mode. It's a behavior change. You got to do it in your personal life as well as you do it in your professional life. So that's one of the principles that I continue to see. I don't care if you've been in the business 10 years, 20 years, or 1 year, that just people are not taking it very seriously, and it just drives me crazy. And it starts from the top down. If your boss's boss's boss, your boss's boss's boss doesn't get back to you, well, then what's that show you? It's kind of like I treat everyone the same way. It doesn't matter if you're my boss, if you're a customer, if you're a colleague, if you're a friend. I'm going to get back to you the same quick way, sense of urgency that I've always have. The other thing that probably comes out, it'd be interesting to hear, is that people don't know how to network very well. I still network today, 38 years later. I still use my network to help people get into other positions. I mean, I always laugh. I said, I wonder how much my book would be worth to somebody. The problem is nobody would call them back. They could have my book, and they could see all of my network, and I'll be glad you can access all my network. But the problem is they probably wouldn't return the call. So you've got to be able to, as you said, you've got to be able to get in there and show heart, and show that you care about somebody, and show that, be yourself. You make mistakes, it's okay. But if you're yourself, they're going to understand you. And just, but if you don't care about what you do and you don't have a passion for what you do, they're going to see it across the table. And I always said one big thing, they don't have to figure you out, but you've got to figure them out. So reading people, understanding them, listening to them, I laugh
Listening is the biggest, right? Listening is the biggest key. And I love what you talk about in your first couple of books is if you don't have the patience to be able to listen, then you're really not going to understand how to value that relationship, and you're not going to know how to serve them. No. And so I really love the things that you touched on, because you teach this to a lot of universities. You're asked to speak at a lot of universities, and you really take them through the process. And because that confidence that you speak about doesn't come through college, it doesn't come through maybe your home life, maybe your peers. You really have to own that in personal development, right?
Well, it's kind of branched off to personal branding.
Yes.
I speak a lot to that, and people always say, when I say personal branding, the first thing they go is, well, what about my company? Is the company brand? I said, no, it has nothing to do with your company. This has to do with you. Do you develop your personal brand of the word go? Do you realize that, that maybe people see you differently than you see yourself? And I always said the best game you can play is go out to breakfast with your best friend, or go with your high school coach, or go out with someone that you respect, and you sit across and you get your eggs and bacon, and you're sitting around. Okay, get a piece of paper out, both of us. You put the top 5 things that you think about me. I'll put the top 5 things I think about myself. You know what happens? You put both papers in the middle. They look at each other. Oh my God, I didn't realize that you thought of me like this. Because we love ourselves. I'm only going to put the 5 greatest things about me on a piece of paper. Yeah, I'm this, this, and this. But if you really want to truly know how your personal brand is, ask your best friend to put it on a piece of paper, and you may have to suck it up a little bit. And you may have to go, gosh, I didn't realize it. So that's the key of all this is do you know how to develop your personal brand, write it down, figure it out, and then live it. But if I would have known now what I didn't know then, I wish I would have asked that, because I had no idea what I thought of myself 25, 30 years ago may not have been what somebody else saw.
Those are such great tips. Anybody that's taking any kind of a job, not even a sales job. But today I think a lot of my clients and a lot of people that I network with say people are not showing up today for calls, for interviews, for great jobs. They're like they ghost each other, or the employer ghosts them. And it's our culture that's changing so much. So we really need to get back to the basics that you teach. It's so important.
Well, I don't know if it's any different than it was 30 years ago. And I think John Maxwell, or whatever, your coach and your mentor, the few things I've read in his books, it's very simple principles. It's not, like I said, again, this is not difficult, but people are making it more difficult, and they don't need to.
Go back to the values, right? So talk about your third book. You said this is kind of, we're launching this right now, right? We're talking about it. Yeah, your accountability, your third book. Talk to me about what's in the third book that we're going to learn.
You know what? I learned one thing about my previous two books. For some reason, the word sales doesn't always perceived as a great term. People don't gravitate to it. And I'm still preaching that no matter what you do in your career, you're in sales. And I'm still getting, no, I'm not. I'm a marketer. No, I'm in IT. No, I'm an entrepreneur, but we're all in sales. So I went back and I said, well, what's missing? So, the biggest thing right now is people are, how do I start a business? How do I start something? How do I become successful in a business venture? So I put together a book around, it's solely around my principles of how to be successful in business. And it's not rocket science. I didn't bring anything out of the woodwork like, oh my God, I never heard this before. Maybe I've said it a different way, but some of my principles I talk about is, relationship building, and what does that mean and how to do it, the how-tos, and again, going back to, show up and be on time is to be early and learn how to respond and get back to people. And then we go through the principle of, networking and we talk a lot about the attitude. And because there was a thing that was done years ago, most people look at the glass half empty, not half full. And so then we talk about the last but not least, our principle about passion. What does passion mean? How do you obtain passion? Can you obtain passion? So I tried to bring these principles into the new book of just saying, okay, if we can understand these principles and really fine tune them, but their behavior changes. I try to teach that you can't just go home and go, okay, tomorrow I'll call Melanie more often now. I'll respond back to Chip immediately. No, that didn't work like that. It has to be an ongoing, it's almost like, you have to, like an addiction. You have to get so ingrained with it that it becomes part of who you are, your DNA. And if you don't, it's not going to happen overnight. So that's what I was hoping to do. And then my last but not least kind of hopefully words of a wisdom is I brought it back around and said, okay, now if you have a family, or you want to have children, or you do have children, here's how you can make your life more successful in the business because you're making their life. And so there's things we did with our children that I believe that are really critical and to having a successful, business that they'll hopefully partake in someday. So I kind of brought it back around and really to me, that's the highlight of the book, of the business book.
Sharing your wisdom from sales to life, right? So what's the name of the book? Have you named it yet? Oh, will you share it with us?
Yes, I will. But, it's funny about, you've written books. I'm verbal. So for anyone out there right now that wants to write a book, obviously I could teach you how to do it, but I used a microphone. So a lot of people don't do that. I actually went into a studio just like this, and I put everything down. And don't worry if it's in chapter 9 or chapter 1. It doesn't matter. Just get it down on paper. So I'm verbal, so I did it that way. But what's interesting is, you asked me, what's the title? Well, what's funny about that, I thought the title was at the very beginning. It didn't happen like that at all. You actually finish your book, and the title then is determined after that. And what's even more funny is that you think you have all your chapters lined up and you're ready to go and you got content. Well, it happens every time. 2 months before or 2 weeks before it's supposed to come out, I've changed 2 chapters because I dreamt about it, because it came to me overnight or something happens. That's the beautiful thing about writing. If you want to get into writing books, which is, I think only 1% of the population or less. Most people will talk about it, but most people don't finish it or don't do it. But that's what's so beautiful, is because it's ongoing venture. You can change things up, and one chapter can end up being negated, and another thing comes to your mind. So no, I don't know what's happened to me though. Is I got started, I got going, I got it all down on paper, and then I kind of got busy and took another direction. And now you're getting me more excited to get back to it and to get it done, because I want people to share. I'm not worried about selling books. I'm more worried about sharing. Do I have something that I could say that maybe it would resonate with you? And it's not something, I hate when people say, oh, there's something really new out there. There really isn't something really new. It just may be a different way to do it or say it, or maybe the way I say it to you may resonate more to you than someone else. That's all it is. But you got to be open to the fact that, keep it simple. I love this. Keep it simple and sweet. I'm a KISS guy. Keep it simple, stupid. Keep it simple and sweet. This is nothing hard. This is just something that you've got to take these pieces of this puzzle, and you've just got to walk through it, and you just got to really reiterate it and repeat it to yourself, and you've got to prepare. Preparation. You've got to prepare. And that is really key.
Wisdom from Chip Helm.
I don't know about if it's wisdom. I do remember I have chipisms, and I forgot about that. Those are little things that, I say that I always said, if I tell you something I want you to remember, it's called a chipism. It's like, hey, be on time to be early. You're going to hear that till I'm on my deathbed, because I believe in that. And you'd be amazed. I know people are out there, oh, you think you're early? Well, you know what? If you show up 2 minutes before my meeting with me, you probably might as well just walk out the door. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. You won't be successful. I can tell you that right now.
Yeah.
It's the little things that are important.
I want you to come back when you have your book released, because I want to talk about the depth of what's in those chapters, because I know it's taken you a long time to really get where you are, and you have so much knowledge to share with so many people. You're so respected in the community. And
I don't know about that.
Oh, yes, you are. We appreciate you coming in and just celebrating all the things that you have been doing. I want to give you an opportunity. Is there one thing that you want our viewers to remember about just who they are as a community leader that they can do right now to make a difference?
You know what? When I think about leadership, I think about one thing. Treat people. This is a golden rule by Chip Helm, not the golden rule that you think I'm going to say, because it's a little bit changed in the wordage. But you want to treat people like they want to be treated. Not treat people like I want to be treated, but treat everyone like they want to be treated. And I'll use one more thing from Carrie Curry, since you and I both love Carrie Curry. Carrie said one thing I'll never, ever forget. He said, he has employees and stuff like that. He goes, well, treat your employees like you expect your employees to treat the customer. Treat your employees like you want your employees to treat the customer. And how true is that? Because then how can you not have a successful business if you just do that one thing, even as a leader? And that's pretty much in a nutshell. But I'll tell you, Melanie, before you end this, This lady across from me is one of the most fantastic women I've ever met. Oh. And what she's done across the community in Indiana and across the Midwest and across this country, what she's doing and the impact you're having with everyday leaders and what you're doing, you should just be commended. I feel very small and just a small part of what you've done in your success. You should be the one that I'm asking you questions because you're quite the leader in my mind.
Thank you.
And I'll turn this around on you real fast. I'm going to turn around and become the host for like 5 seconds. Tell me one thing that I'd like to learn about you and about what you believe at this point after the last 5 years when it concerns leadership. I mean, what is important to you? What's that one nugget that Chip can take with him?
Being consistent enough in your life so that you get clarity on what to say yes to and what to say no to. You talk about personal brand a lot, and you've been a big impact for me to think about that. And it's really important, I think, as people are growing and changing. It's kind of scary not knowing what's going to develop, but you really have to be consistent and be committed to the process, and so that you really gain clarity on what does that look like for you in your life, because it doesn't have to look like anybody else.
Right.
But it absolutely, you have to have those basic qualities to take those with you and just continue to grow, and it will make an impact.
I like the word consistency because when I think about consistency in a leader, I think that, if you're my boss and I report to you, Melanie, I would expect and I would hope that if I walked in your office Tuesday morning at 8 o'clock and I had a problem, okay, and we got it, whatever, and if I came back on Thursday morning at 8 o'clock and I had that same problem or similar problem, that you would be consistent with me about how you'd respond, how you would act, because a lot of that's the unfortunate thing about a lot of adequate leaders, that you don't know what you're getting on Tuesday versus Thursday versus the next week, and that's not a really good leader. But that's what I think when I think of consistency, is that leadership, you've got to be consistent, how you approach it and how you respond and how you take care of your employees.
Mm-hmm. Because people really don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Right.
There you go. Now, you couldn't have put it better. Hell, I probably should have changed places and become the host, and you could have been on this side and probably had a better interview this morning than doing this.
No, this is fun. I appreciate your time. This has been great. I want you to come back and be a friend of the show. Don't wait 5 years. Come back.
I'll come back anytime you want, and we can talk about any kind of subject you want to talk about.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Chip, for being a community leader, a business leader, and a wisdom teacher. You're great.
I don't know if it's a wisdom. It's just things that I've had to go through that I probably have made a lot of mistakes, and maybe I've learned from them.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning into this episode of Everyday Business Leaders. I know you were inspired to think and grow differently because Chip Helm was here in the studio. He's amazing, so you should follow him as well. Remember, the journey of growth and innovation never ends. It's our mission to keep bringing you the best insights from our local community too. So stay tuned for more episodes that are filled with wisdom, innovation, and inspiration. This is Melanie Ake, signing off from JP the Geek Studio, where better IT service is just a call away. Remember, they say own it, secure it, and protect it. Until next time, don't forget to follow our channel and turn on those notifications so you never miss an episode. Everyday Leaders helps you to develop strategies to become a better leader in your life. It's not what you do in a day, it's what you do every day that makes the most impact.